Hey guys, every year on the Epiphany, January 6th, my family would have a traditional meal of bean soup, and they would also make donuts which had money in them to represent the gifts of the wise men. The great thing about these family recipes is they tend to express the preferences of the family members. This recipe can be done with dumplings, but my grandmother used to not like dumplings, so she'd always make it with potatoes instead. First, we're going to put our beans into the pot. You guys can use navy beans for this recipe, 1 pound. I am using some Hit-A-Right soup beans from our garden that we grew this summer. Now we're going to cover this with water, pull out all the bad beans, heat it up to a boil, and then let it sit for an hour. The beans have been sitting an hour, so the next step is to take the beans, drain them, put them back in the pot, add 3 quarts of water, and bring to a boil. Okay guys, now we have the beans heating back up. Now is the time to add our ham bone. Okay, we also have some vegetables that we're going to add. For you guys, it's going to be 2 or 3 carrots, 2 or 3 celery sticks. Okay, then we're going to add 1 parsnip, 1 turnip. Okay, now I have it. The thing that's really cool about this recipe is that I actually plan my garden, since I know I'm going to do this every year, to grow the things I need for this recipe. So the carrots, the parsnips, turnips, and celery are from my garden. And also, the recipe calls for 1 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes. What I do is I take my tomatoes during the summer, and you could always do, a whole 16 ounces of chopped fresh tomatoes from your grocery store. What I do is I take the tomatoes from our garden. I actually dehydrate a jar of tomatoes every summer that I know is going to be used for this soup. Okay, so we're just going to add that in. We got a half a teaspoon of paprika. This is a German recipe. My family was German, and they used a lot of paprika because they were from the Austrian-Hungarian area of Europe. We have all the ingredients into the pot, and we're going to let this simmer for 2 hours. One thing about this recipe that's very important is we don't put any additional salt into the recipe at this point because it will keep the beans from softening. We want the beans to soften. So we're going to do the simmering for 2 hours, and then after that we're going to pull the ham bone out, take the meat off the ham bone, and then we're going to add the salt to the recipe. 2 hours have passed, so now we're going to take the ham bone out. We set it aside for a few minutes, and we're just going to let that cool down, and then we're going to pick all the ham off of it and then put it back into the soup while the soup continues to simmer. We got the rest of the ham back into the pot. Now we're going to put about a tablespoon and a half of salt in there. Okay, and you're going to occasionally stir it. Now the beans are going to be soft, so you can kind of continue to stir it, and we like to mash the beans a little bit as it cooks. So we're going to let this cook for another hour. About a half hour through that time, we're going to take 2 potatoes that have been diced up and throw them into the pot for the last half hour. Alright, we're rolling into the last half hour of cooking, so we're just going to add the potatoes to the soup, and then we're going to cover it and let it simmer for another half hour. Well, there you have it. So this is some of our ham bean soup. And I'm going to try a little here. Okay, so now if you look at it, it's really good. You got the carrots, the celery, potatoes, ham, beans. Delicious. The beans really, and the ham really make a great broth for the soup. So I think you're gonna really enjoy this. Okay guys, well, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next video.